and we would like to firstly apologize for being late, but we were trying to reach the maximum number of Pakistani offices to attend this meeting, as it is a very important meeting. Thank you all for joining and attending the Musaned training session. This is Abir Dail from Musaned Product Management team. And the main aim of today's training session is to introduce to you Musaned system with a step-by-step activities and relative to external private recruitment office users. But before we start, there is a very important note to consider, which is after Musaned gets released in India country and Pakistan country, which will happen within few days, inshallah, then all the recruitment offices in Pakistan will be required to use Musaned system. And Musaned system will be main requirement for the embassy to issue visa for the Pakistani laborers. So today we will get to know what are the main benefits of Musaned system that would be launched in Pakistan country very soon, inshallah. We will start off the meeting by explaining what is Musaned, so we can all be within the same page. Musaned is basically a digital platform and integrated solution that aims to facilitate domestic labor recruitment procedures by allowing integration between the internal Saudi offices and the external parties, including the external offices, the Foreign Ministry of Labor, and the foreign embassies, with the focus on protecting the rights of all related stakeholders through documentation and transparency of the employment procedures. Having this process automated has actually resulted in many benefits, including preventing the operations that breach the contractual process, also protecting the rights and obligations of all the domestic laborers and workers. Musaned system also allows people to have credible information about all contract parties, including the Saudi employer, the Saudi office, the candidate, and all the documentation needed. Also, Musaned system provides real-time process transparency through the notifications that update users about the current status of the requests. The main actually benefit of Musaned system is that it is very secured platform that will store all your employment activities in one place, and it is protected against any malicious activity and against any external attack. Now we will leave you with a video that explains Musaned program in simpler terms.
Their businesses. Musaned has the solution. Musaned is an electronic platform that facilitates labor recruitment procedures by introducing a bundle of electronic services, international contracting.
So now, after the Saudi office and the Pakistani office have had a partnership contract agreement between them, now the Pakistani office can be able to manage the HR pool or the human resource pool by adding specific candidate CVs into the system. The external office can actually add many CVs in his page. Those CVs will be viewed by the partnered Saudi office, so that the Saudi office would be able to create employment requests for this specific candidate. Now we will dig deep into the HR pool page, which would represent the procedure of the external office, which is Pakistani office, to add a specific CVs under his organization. For the EPRO, which is the HR pool, this is actually considered one of the most important pages for the EPRO user, because through this page, the office can add new candidates that can be created under this organization. User can add a new candidate by clicking on Add New Candidate button. After that, the candidate pre-check form would appear to the user so that APRO can be able to fill all the personal details of the candidate, starting with the candidate ID number and the candidate passport number, the candidate surname and the other names, and the date of birth for the candidate. All of the candidate's personal details should be unique, meaning that one candidate cannot be existed in more than one APRO. If so, system would display a window stating that this candidate is already existed with another APRO, in which this APRO is expected to contact the APRO to delete this candidate. And the other APRO's details are displayed for the user in order to facilitate the offline communication. So this candidate cannot be added to the organization unless the other APRO deletes it from his organization. In order to add a candidate under a specific organization, the candidate details should be unique. If user clicks on continue with a valid details, then the system would represent the full detailed form for the candidate where user can fill all the required fields, starting with the surname, other names, and the date of birth in Georgian. These personal details would be retrieved from the pre-check form. After that, user should be able to fill the gender value, whether male or female, so that the job or the occupation of the candidate would be filtered based on the selected gender. User should also fill the field of marital status, stating the status of the candidate, whether single or married, and the religion of the status, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. After that, user could select the qualifications of the candidate. User can actually select more than one value. He can also select more than one skill for the candidate. The more skills that are added to the candidate, the more easier the candidate can be searched for. After that, a user could fill the years of experience of the candidate in country and the years of experience abroad, if available. User should also fill the mobile number for the candidate. And first of all, upload the personal photo of the candidate. And the passport photo of the candidate. After that, user would be directed to the second section of the form, which is the passport details. User should fill the passport issue place and the passport issue date. And the passport expiration date. After that, user would be directed to the last section of the page, which is filling the address and the relative contact necessity information. The relative name, the relative kinship, the relative phone, and the relative address. If all the required fields are filled by the user, he can click on Save in order to save the details of the candidate. As we see here, the passport image of the candidate is a required field, so all the required fields should be filled by the user. After filling all the fields with valid data, the candidate has been successfully added to the HR pool page of this organization. After that, user can view the entered details of the candidate by clicking on View. The system would represent the user entered details, and user can also represent the details of the candidate as a PDF format by clicking on the View CV button. After that, the system would generate the user's created candidate details as a PDF format, where user can easily download the file or print the file by clicking on the print icon or the download icon. If the candidate status is available, then user should be able to edit the candidate details by clicking on Edit link. User would be directed to the candidate form where he can edit any entered value. After that, he should click on Save button in order to save the updated information. In case user wants to delete a specific candidate, this candidate status should only be under available status. If the candidate is available, then user can delete the candidate by clicking on the delete hyperlink, and then he should confirm his action by clicking on confirm. After that, the candidate would be successfully deleted from the user's organization. A very important note to consider here in this page is that each candidate is
system. eTawthiq is one of its major services. It facilitates contracts and agreements between local recruitment agencies and non-Saudi manpower agencies by introducing partnership contract feature, which enables fast and easy electronic contracting between both parties. Additionally, each recruitment agency can have multiple sub-users with different authority levels assigned for each employee working on the system. Saudi recruitment agencies can also use the system to enter their accredited representatives' information in foreign countries, so they can be recognized by Saudi embassy staff when processing their requests. eTawthiq also has candidates listing feature HR pool, where non-Saudi manpower agencies will post CVs of all domestic labor ready for employment, allowing Saudi agencies to choose a CV that matches the desired job requirements, and then obtaining the approvals of the related authorities prior to finishing the process. The system also provides the users a chance to address complaints and disputes on their counterparts in order for related authorities to take appropriate actions. All of these features and tools eTawthiq has provide multiple benefits: full control and governance on the contractual process, eliminating black markets and ensuring the minimization and elimination of all illegal activities, providing an authenticated source and information about Saudi domestic labor, automating procedures for faster processing. Musaned, the domestic labor program. For more information, please visit musaned.gov.sa.
Thank you all for listening. The previous video has summarized the whole journey, but we will dig deep into the system activities and pages one by one. We will start with the partnership contracts page, as we will have in the next slide. But we would like to give you a brief about partnership contracts. Partnership contract is considered a very important step and a prerequisite for any employment activity between the Saudi office and the external office, as both offices, the Saudi and the Pakistani office, should have a partnership contract between them in order to be able to proceed with the next domestic labor recruitment activities. So the system has a page that allows the external office, Pakistani office, to receive all the partnership contracts from the Saudi office, and then can process the employment activities. As we see in this page, there are several statuses associated with each contract, starting with the pending status. If the contract is under pending status, this means that the PRO has sent a partnership contract to this EPRO, meaning that me as an EPRO should take an action for this pending request by either approving the request or rejecting it. Contract status would turn to approved, and if the EPRO user rejects the request, then the partnership contract status would turn to rejected. If the contract status is approved, then the EPRO can have the option to send cancellation to the PRO. If user confirms the action, then the cancellation request would be sent to the Saudi recruitment office for approval. If the Saudi recruitment office approves the cancellation request, then the partnership contract would turn to cancelled. Otherwise, it would remain the same as the previous status, which was approved. In case the contract status was cancellation pending and the cancellation request was sent by EPRO, then EPRO can be able to undo the cancellation by clicking on undo cancellation, and the contract status would be turned to the previous status, which was approved. If we filter the results based on the cancellation pending contract, then we would view the different cases of the cancellation pending contract. As we see here, it is easy to differentiate between the contracts that have been requested to cancel by PRO or by EPRO. For example, in the first case, it is clear that the cancellation request was sent by the Saudi recruitment office because of the accept and reject button, meaning that me as an EPRO should take an action with the cancellation request by either accepting the cancellation request, so that status would turn to cancelled, or reject the cancellation request so that the status would turn back to be approved. And in the second and third cases, it is clear that the cancellation request was sent by me as an EPRO because of the undo cancellation request. So if the contract status remains cancellation pending, and I, as an APRO, was the one who sent the cancellation request, I can undo the cancellation by clicking on undo cancellation. APRO user can be able to view the history of all the statuses that the contract has been through by clicking on the notifications button. User can then view the statuses of the contract starting from the first status at the button. The contract status started by approval pending, and it was sent by PRO at a specific date and specific time. After that, the status of the contract was turned to approved and the action was taken by the EPRO. This value represents the name of the username that took this action, represented by the specific date and time of this action, until the last status, that is the current status now, which is approved and the action was taken by the EPRO under this username and in this exact date and time. EPRO can easily filter the partnership contract requests by sorting the creation date, either by newest or oldest, or by searching the contract that has been received by a specific PRO or Saudi recruitment office. For example, if we select the name of this PRO, then the system would display all the partnership contract requests that have been received by this PRO. Multi-PRO selection is enabled. User can also search for contracts under a specific PRO by entering the PRO's license number, or by specifying the creation date of the contract by setting a specific creation date value. User can also search for a specific contract by entering the partnership contract number. And the system would filter the results based on the user's selection. User can easily unselect specific filters by just clicking on the X icon. Statuses for the CVs. If the CV status is available, then this means that the CV was just added by the external office and it is available to create an employment request with. If the CV status is processing, then this means that there is already an employment request created for this candidate, so that the other Saudi offices cannot select this candidate for employment. If the candidate status is turned to employee, then this means that all the contract parties, the four parties, which is the Saudi employer, the Saudi office, the candidate, and the external office, which is the Pakistani office, have approved on the employment request, and that no any other Saudi office can have and select this candidate for employment. So this means that this CV is already turned to employee and is coming to Saudi Arabia. As we see here in the footer, there are several pages under the HR pool. User can switch between the pages through the pagination by clicking on the desired page. And he can navigate through the HR pool pages easily by clicking User can also filter the candidates according to the status of the candidate. For example, if user only wants to view the available candidates, he could do so by clicking on the available status. Also, user can search for more than one status by clicking all the desired statuses in order to have a customized list of the candidates. User can also filter the HR pool page through sorting the candidates based on date, either newest or oldest, or by sorting the names either ascending or descending order. User can also search for specific candidates by specifying the desired job or the desired skills. User can select more than one skill to search for. User can also search for candidates by specifying the qualification of the desired candidate and by entering the range of age. For example, if I want to search for candidates aging from 20 to 30, I can do so by specifying the range and clicking on check so that the list would be filtered based on my selection. I can easily unselect the filters by clicking on the X icon. User can also search for candidates by selecting a specific gender, a specific religion, or by searching for the creation date from a specific date to a specific date, or by directly enter any keyword that is available on the candidate details. For example, I can search for candidates by specifying the passport number. And the list would be customized based on my search results. We will move to the next page, which is employment requests. So after the Saudi office and the external office have had a partnership contract agreement, and the external office has uploaded list of CVs for the candidates, then now the external office would receive employment requests coming from the Saudi office for a specific Saudi employer and a specific Pakistani candidate to process the employment procedure with. This page displays all the employment requests contracts that have been received from the Saudi recruitment office. Each record is associated with its current status as displayed in the colored tag and its detailed contract information, including the contract number, the visa number, the employer name and ID, the candidate name. If user clicks on the candidate name, then the user would be redirected to view the detailed information of the candidate. User can also view the job or the occupation of the candidate under this contract and the nationality of the candidate, the name of the PRO, and the status of the payment, whether it is paid by the private recruitment office or unpaid, and the creation date of the contract. As we see here, the status of the contract is EPRO approval, meaning that the request was received by the private recruitment office and it is waiting for my action as an EPRO to either approve the contract or reject the contract. User can then scroll down to view all the contract details, including the contract parties, the employer information, the candidate information, and employment details, including the city of work, the issuing authority, the salary details, and the PRO and employer signed contract. User can click on this image to view the signed contract image. A user can now, after taking a look of all the contract details, user can take an action for this
pending contract by either approving the contract or rejecting it. If user clicks on reject button, then the contract status would turn to rejected. And if the user clicks on the approve button, user should be able to upload the signed contract by the EPRO and the candidate. If user uploads the contract, then the status would turn to EPRO approved. In case EPRO wants to send this contract for foreign MOL for their approval, then the EPRO can click on the send to foreign MOL button so that the contract would be turned to the foreign MOL account for their approval.
In Pakistan country, actually the case for the foreign MOL is auto approval. So once the external office, the Pakistani office, approves the employment request, then the foreign Ministry of Labor would automatically approve the contract. So the contract status would turn to foreign MOL approved, because as in the country rules, for the foreign MOL it is auto approval.
As we see here, the contract status has been turned to foreign MOL approval. User can click on notifications tab in order to view all the statuses that the contract has been through, starting from the first status from the bottom, which is EPRO approval, and for each status is associated with its logs, including the office who has taken the action, the date of the action, and the time of the action. Reaching to the current state at the upper side, we have the current state is the foreign MOL approval, and the action was taken by the EPRO at this specific date and time. In case the contract status was EPRO approved, or foreign MOL approval, or foreign MOL approved, then the EPRO should be able to cancel the contract by clicking on the cancel button. After that, user should insert a cancellation reason by selecting a value from the drop-down list. If user clicks on cancel, then the cancellation request would be sent to the PRO for approval, because in case the cancellation occurs in one of these statuses, then the cancellation should be mutual, meaning the approval should be stated by the two parties, which are PRO and the EPRO. If the cancellation request was approved by the private recruitment office, then the contract would turn to cancelled. Otherwise, the contract status would remain the same. User can also filter the employment request list by sorting the values by either the newest or oldest. User can also search for a specific employment requests under specific occupations. User can also search for employment requests by specifying the city of work of the candidate and gender of the candidate, whether male or female, or by directly searching the PRO name, payment status, whether paid or unpaid, or by specific keywords. If user through this filter, which is the keywords, user can search for any value that is available in the contract details. So this is basically acts as a search engine where user can type, for example, the visa details or the passport number of the candidate. After that, the system would filter the results of the list based on the user's selection. User can also search the employment requests by entering the employer ID or contract number or the visa number. User can easily search for specific requests by specifying the desired statuses to be shown. For example, user can select one status to search for or multi-selection of the statuses. Regarding the filter by section of the filtration bar, in case PRO select one of the statuses appeared in the left-hand side of the drop-down menu, system would display employment requests that ever had the selected status during the entered date. So if one of the statuses was selected, then user should also select the desired date in order to display the employment request that ever had the selected status during the entered date. In case PRO selects the creation date option, which is the last value from the drop-down list, then our system would display all the employment requests that created during the entered date. In case PRO selects the last action date tab, then the system would display employment requests that ever had last action during the entered date. For example, if I click on the status foreign MOL approved and I select the desired date range, then system would display employment requests that ever had the status foreign MOL approved during this specified date.
Now that we have done with the employment requests procedure, before moving to the next page, an important note to consider is that if the organization's license got expired, then the organization and all users under this organization cannot perform any action in the system unless the license is renewed and updated. So after license renewal, the organization should raise a license renewal request through the Musaned system so that Musaned team would update the date of the license expiration and users under this organization will get activated to use the system again.
As for the update license and info page, through this page, user can raise new update license and info requests by clicking on the add button. After that, user should specify the information that needs to be updated. For example, if the organization's name was changed or updated, then this information needs to be updated also in the system. So the EPRO needs to raise a request to update the organization name in the system. Or for example, if the organization license date was about to expire or was expired, so the organization has to raise a new request for the system in order to update the license date. After specifying the information to be updated, user should upload an attachment that supports his request. After that, user can click on save so that the update request would be sent to the operation team in Musaned to process the request. The request status would turn to pending until the request is processed by the operation team. If it is updated by the operation team, then the request status would turn to updated. User can create more than one request if there are more than one information to be updated related to the organization. And user can search for the raised requests by this office by specifying a specific range of date, from a specific date to another specific date, or by basically sorting the requests by either the newest or oldest. Moving to the last page of the system, which is the user's management. This page is enabled only if the user's type is delegate or the user is the admin of the organization. If the user type is delegate, meaning that he is the admin of this office, then he can add sub-users for this organization by clicking on Add Sub-User button. After that, user should fill all the required details here, including the first name of the sub-user, the last name of the sub-user, and the email of the sub-user. An important thing to note here is that the email of the sub-user should be unique, meaning that the system would not allow user to create more than one sub-user having the same email. So the email value should be unique in the system. If the email was unique, then the system would allow to create this user under status pending login. Now the sub-user have received an invitation email on his mail inbox where he can open and complete the registration procedure by setting the username and the password and confirming the new password. If all these fields have been filled by the sub-user, then he can successfully use these credentials in order to log into the new system. After that, user status would turn to active, meaning that the user could successfully log into the system. As a delegate user, I can deactivate a specific sub-user by clicking on the deactivate button. If I confirm my action, then the user's status would turn to inactive. I can later reactivate the user's status by clicking on activate button and confirming the action so that the status would turn to active. As a delegate user, I can view all the sub-users that are under my organization, and I can filter the users based on their status pending login, meaning that they have received the invitation email but they have not logged into the system yet. If for any reason the sub-user could not receive the invitation email, then the delegate user can resend invite by clicking on the resend invite button. User can search for the sub-users by selecting more than one status, or by directly entering their first name, last name, or email in order to search the user with. User can also click on View button in order to view the details of the sub-user. In case for any reason the language version of the system was set into Arabic, then user can easily switch between the languages by the language icon here. He can click on the EN icon in order to reset the language into English, and he can click on the AR language icon in order to set the web content into Arabic. User can easily log out of the system by clicking on the profile information drop-down menu, after that selecting the logout option, so that user would be able to log out of the system successfully.
The next step would be the system would send an invitation to the official organization's email in order to complete the registration procedure. The invitation email would include a link that user can click in order to complete registration by selecting a specific username to access the system with and specifying the password in order to log in to the new system with. After that, user would be able to successfully log in to the Musaned system by using the newly registered username and passcode. The system also allows the user to manage and update his profile information. User after successful login would be able to change user email. User would also be able to change the password, and user would be able to add the two-factor authentication feature. We would like to set your focus on the two-factor authentication setting because it is a very important step in order to enhance the security of the system. So the two-factor authentication is basically an extra layer of account protection that is used to ensure the security of user account beyond just a username and passcode, meaning that after user enters the basic access credentials, which is the username and passcode, system would ask the user to verify its identity by enforcing the user to enter an extra code received by Google Authenticator app. Now we will show you the exact procedure of updating the user's profile information after logging into the new system.
I'm currently accessing the new system as an external private recruitment office user after logging in using the username and password that I have just created upon receiving the invitation email from the system, and have completed the registration procedure by setting up a new username and password. In case user wants to manage his personal account details, he can do so by clicking on the profile information icon and then click on Manage Wahed Profile tab. After that, user would be directed to manage his personal details. As we see here in the left corner, there is a navigation bar including many tabs where user can edit information regarding each one. The first one is the account. User can edit the email of this user by just entering the new email. After that, user can also edit the first name information and the last name information. As we know, user can register or can log into the new system using either the email value or the username value. The email value can be edited with time after login. However, username value should never be edited. If user enters the desired changes, he can click on Save to save the updates. After that, user would be able to enter or log into the new system with the new email that was just updated. In case user wants to reset the password or change the password of the system, he can do so by clicking on the password tab on the left side, and he can enter the value of the new password. After that, he has to confirm the new password and click on Save button in order to save the details. After that, user can log into the new system using the newly registered password. Moving to the fourth and the most important tab in the navigation bar, which is the Authenticator. Through this page, user can set up or activate the two-factor authentication feature by just installing one of the following applications on the mobile, either free OTP application or Google Authenticator application. We would recommend uploading the Google Authenticator application because it's much easier to use. After that, user should open the application through his mobile and scan the barcode that is displayed on the screen. User then should enter the one-time code provided by the application and click Save to finish the setup. In order to recap the method of setting or activating the two-factor authentication feature on the new Musaned system, user should first upload the Google Authenticator application on his mobile. After that, user should click the add icon available on the application in order to be able to scan the barcode that is displayed on the Musaned screen. After that, the application would display a one-time code that should be copied and pasted on the one-time code field available on Musaned screen. After that, he should click Save in order to finish the setup. Doing so, user can log into the system by using his access credentials, which are the username and password, and the system would ask the user to enter the extra one-time code that has been provided by the Google Authenticator application in order to verify the identity of the user. The first page that would be displayed to me as an APRO user is the dashboard page, where user can have a comprehensive overview of the latest updates of the request. As we see in the first section of the page, we have the analytics overview representing data visualizations that indicate the number of partnership contracts, as we see in the visual on the left-hand side. This visual actually represents the number of approved partnership contracts. As we see in this example, we have 4 approved partnership contracts and 1 pending partnership contracts, meaning that there is 1 partnership coming from the Saudi recruitment office, and it is pending for my action to either approve the request or reject it. On the left-hand side, we have the second visual, which is related to the employment requests. As we see in this example, we have 38 as the total number of employment requests classified by each status. For example, we have here 1 pending employment request, which is pending for foreign MOL approval. And we have 14 cancelled employment contract and 23 contract under the status of arrived KSA. Moving to the second section of the page, we have the latest employment request. This section actually represents the latest updates on the last 4 employment requests. Each record is associated with the contract details containing contract number, visa number, employer name, candidate information, the occupation of the candidate, nationality, the name of the PRO, which is the Saudi Recruitment Office, and the payment status, whether paid or unpaid, and the creation date. We will dig deep into the employment request details in the main page, which is related for the employment request.
So a fast